Hello again, my friend. Make yourself comfortable. Feel the quiet settle over your room like soft ash drifting through evening air. Let your breath deepen. Let the weight of the day loosen gently, slowly. Tonight we begin a new century, a new dynasty, a new London. The Tudors have faded into memory, their golden age resting like a warm glow upon the Thames. And now, from the distant hills of Scotland, a new king travels south. James VI of Scotland, soon to be James I of England, a single man inheriting two crowns, stitching two kingdoms together with one long stride. London waits for him, curious and cautious. The queen who never married has left no heirs. The old order is gone. And whenever an old order ends, London holds its breath. The year is 1603. The city is swelling. More people, more ships, more noise, more dreams. Theaters hum with life. Markets overflow with foreign goods. The river glitters like polished silver under a rising moon. But change always casts a long shadow. And the 17th century will bring shadows deeper than London has ever seen. Plague will return with a cruel hand. Fire will sweep through the city in a storm of heat and hunger. Plots will shake the palace walls. Civil war will divide the kingdom. A king will lose his crown, and more than his crown. And yet, somehow, London will rise brighter than ever. A city burned to ash will grow back in stone. A scientific revolution will spark lanterns of knowledge across Europe. Philosophers, merchants, scientists, architects, playwrights, all will transform this city into something astonishingly new. But tonight we start at the beginning, with a king riding toward London, with crowds gathering on the roadsides, with children climbing windowsills just to glimpse the future passing by, with merchants wondering what changes a Scottish monarch will bring, with priests praying that peace will hold, and with the first dawn of a century that will remake London not once but twice. Let the old century fade behind you. Let the new century open before you, like a door swinging slowly in candlelight. Take a long breath, rest your hands, calm your thoughts. We begin a new era. Chapter 1. The King from the North. Breathe softly, my friend. Let the quiet of the night touch your thoughts. Imagine London standing at the edge of a new century, the air cool, the river calm, and the streets humming with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. It is the spring of 1603. Elizabeth has died. Her long, golden reign has ended. And all across London, people whisper the same question. What now? For the first time in decades, the city feels unmoored, like a ship waiting for its new captain. Then slowly, steadily, news flows into the streets like morning light slipping between rooftops. The new king is coming, a man no one in London has ever seen. A man raised in a colder land, shaped by different storms, crowned in different halls. James of Scotland, a king from the north. The long road south. James begins his journey from Edinburgh, the Scottish capital built on cliffs and volcanic rock. He travels through broad green fields, quiet villages, and long winding roads that grow busier the farther south he rides. Word of his approach runs ahead of him like a fast wind. Villages ring their bells, towns hang banners, people crowd the roads just to catch a glimpse of the moving procession. Some see him for only a heartbeat as his horse passes. Some shout blessings, some kneel, some simply stare, curious about the man who will rule both England and Scotland. The closer he gets to London, the larger the crowds become. Merchants, farmers, noblemen, children, travelers from far ports, performers, priests, even the occasional pickpocket who quietly tells himself he is part of history. Everyone wants to see the new king. London prepares. In London itself, the mood is electric. Shopkeepers sweep their thresholds with more enthusiasm than usual. Guild halls hang bright cloth from their windows. Church bells practice their chimes for the great day. Theaters prepare performances in hopes the new king will love drama as much as Elizabeth did. The Thames is busy with small boats, their oars splashing in anticipation. Vendors shout. Printers rush to make pamphlets praising the new monarch. Children gather on the banks, practicing how they will cheer when he passes. But beneath the excitement lies a quiet, pulsing question. What kind of king will he be? London has known kings who were bold and loud, kings who were gentle and quiet, kings who were erratic, kings who were brilliant, kings who were both at once. No one knows what to expect from this Scottish ruler with his strange accent, his fondness for books, and his reputation for loving, long, winding speeches. And no one knows how a king used to the stern stone of Edinburgh will feel about the sprawling, crowded, noisy heart of England. The first glimpse. When James finally enters London, the crowds are immense. They line the streets from Mile End to the city gates. They climb onto barrels, rooftops, window ledges, and the backs of patient horses. Some even perch on tree branches, swaying slightly, but refusing to climb down. And when they see him, they lean forward, with breath held tight. James is not handsome in the traditional sense. He is slightly awkward on horseback, with a beard too large for his delicate features and a walk that suggests years of dodging political danger. But his eyes are bright, alert, full of curiosity. He looks at London the way someone looks at a treasure chest they have heard about all their life but never touched. A city of wealth, theater, merchants, learning, and opportunity. A city he now rules. London, in turn, studies him with equal intensity. Some people cheer loudly, some clap politely, some stand in stunned silence, taking in the simple fact that a new era has begun. The city that adored Elizabeth is now adjusting to a king who grew up in a land of cold winds and cautious alliances. They are trying to understand each other like two strangers who have just shaken hands for the first time. The Union of Crowns. James carries with him a vision grander than anything England has seen in generations. He believes he is not simply the king of two nations, but the king of one Britain, a land united not just by border, but by destiny. London hears him speak of unity, peace, and stability. Some people like the idea. They imagine the strength of two kingdoms working as one. Others worry that English traditions will be overshadowed by Scottish influence. But the city cannot deny that the moment feels historic. For the first time, one crown rules both realms. It is as if a bridge has been built across mountains and rivers, linking two long divided worlds. London's first impressions. As days pass, London begins to form an opinion. James is amiable. He laughs easily. He adores hunting with an enthusiasm that borders on obsession. He loves books, ideas, debates, and long conversations. He talks so much that some courtiers quietly wish he would breathe between sentences. He is not regal in the dramatic Tudor way, not glamorous, not commanding in presence, but he is human, approachable, and oddly comforting. Londoners whisper that he feels more like a scholarly uncle than a king. Some find this charming. Others find it peculiar. But many feel a sense of relief after decades of religious upheaval and political storms. A gentle hand on the throne does not sound so bad. A city catching the future arrive. On the evening of his first full day in London, James looks out across the river from Whitehall Palace. The water glimmers, the theaters glow. The city hums with life. Behind him lie the hard stones of Edinburgh. In front of him lies the great expanse of English politics, wealth, culture, and ambition. And somewhere deep inside him, a thought stirs. This city will shape him, and he will shape it. London senses it too. The air is thick with possibility, with questions, with the quiet flutter of new beginnings. The century has turned. The dynasty has changed. And nothing will ever be quite the same. Ending the chapter. For now, let your thoughts drift like lanterns floating on the Thames. A new king has arrived. A new era has opened. London is standing at the threshold of peace and chaos, prosperity and danger, brilliance and destruction. The story is only beginning. Chapter 2. The Theaters Rise Higher. Settle a little deeper, my friend. Let your breath slow like the gentle sway of a boat on the Thames. Tonight we wander into a London suddenly, alive with art, laughter, poetry, and the warm glow of firelit stages. A new king sits on the throne, and though he lacks the glamour of the Tudors, he brings something precious to London. He brings peace, and peace gives birth to stories. A king who loves words. James I is an unusual king. He loves books more than armor. he enjoys debates more than battles. He prefers long conversations to courtly parades. He even writes poetry of his own, which his courtiers politely praise. For London's writers and actors, this is a blessing. A king who loves words will surely love theaters. And he does. Almost immediately after arriving, James places his royal protection on one of London's acting companies, transforming them into the King's Men. And among their members is a playwright with a sharp quill and a mind full of thunder and moonlight, William Shakespeare. London does not yet know it, but it is about to enter the brightest age of drama the city will ever see. The South Bank at sunset. Imagine walking along the south bank of the Thames in the early years of James's reign. The evening sky glows orange. The river carries reflections like trembling ribbons of fire. Musicians tune their instruments near tavern doors. Alehouses spill music and laughter into the streets. And ahead of you, wooden playhouses rise like great round lanterns. The globe, the rose, the swan. Crowds gather at the doors. Long before the performance begins, merchants with rough hands, tailors in ink-stained sleeves, sailors smelling of sea salt, noblemen in bright satin cloaks, fishmongers wiping their hands on aprons, apprentices eager to escape their masters, children with wide, eager eyes. All classes mingle, united by the simple desire to watch a story unfold beneath the open sky. London feels like the beating heart of the world. A city in love with drama. Inside the playhouses, the air feels charged. You can smell the wood of the stage, the straw at your feet, the warm scent of bodies pressed together. People talk, laugh, argue, place bets, and shout greetings across the crowd. Then the trumpets sound. Silence falls like a soft blanket, and words take flight. This is the age when Shakespeare writes, The Tempest, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. When Ben Jonson dazzles the court with comedies full of cleverness and wicked wit. When the city's imagination stretches so wide it feels the world is growing inside its theaters. Every performance is a firework of ideas, and London burns brighter each night. Shakespeare and the King's Men. With royal patronage, the King's Men enjoy unprecedented prestige. Their plays are performed not only for crowds along the South Bank, but for the court itself. Imagine Shakespeare standing backstage at Whitehall Palace, dressed simply, hands folded behind his back, watching aristocrats and diplomats take their seats, watching his lines, once scribbled in cramped handwriting, come alive before princes and ambassadors. James himself often attends. He listens intently, eyes sharp, mind racing. He loves stories of kings, magic, ambition, and the supernatural. It is said he had a particular fondness for Macbeth, with its witches, prophecies, and royal destiny. Whether true or not, the story fits him well. A king who loves words. A king who loves mysteries. A king who understands the power of imagination. New theaters, new voices. London grows hungrier for plays. New theaters appear. New actors rise. New writers sharpen their quills. One can hear rehearsals almost anywhere. A poet muttering lines to himself while crossing London Bridge. A young actor practicing swordplay behind an alehouse. Musicians tuning lutes near the river. Children reciting scenes in the marketplace. Even the noise of the city seems to adopt a rhythm that suits the stage. Cartwheels creak like sound effects. Dogs bark on cue. Vendors cry out in voices that sound like chorus lines. The city itself becomes a kind of theater, and London loves every moment. The court masks. While the playhouses entertain the public, the royal court develops its own style of performance, the mask. A dazzling blend of music, dance, poetry, costumes, and elaborate sets. Sometimes so extravagant that the cost could have fed an entire district for a month. Noblemen act in them. Ladies of the court dance in them. The Queen herself, Anne of Denmark, often participates with great excitement. These masks fill the palace with firelight, jewels, laughter, and shimmering fabrics. They are the dreams of the wealthy, performed in rooms hung with gold and velvet. Shakespeare's world belongs to the people. The mask belongs to the elite. But both flourish under James. Both help London find its voice in art. London's growing confidence. Peace with Spain, prosperity in trade, and royal support for the arts all combine to give London a new sense of confidence. Merchants grow bolder, guilds grow busier, writers grow braver. Philosophers debate in coffee houses, scholars translate ancient texts, explorers return from unknown coasts with strange stories that set playwrights dreaming of distant lands. London is no longer just a city in England. It is the center of something far larger, a hub of trade, ideas, and imagination. A place where the world arrives each morning by riverboat, and where the world is reinvented each evening on stage. Yet shadows remain. But even in this age of brilliance, small shadows creep at the edges. The crowds are large, the streets narrow, the water supply inconsistent. Human waste accumulates in dark corners. Sickness lurks. But for now, London chooses not to see the early signs, not to hear the quiet coughs echoing through crowded alleys, not to notice how quickly an illness can slip from house to house. For now, the laughter in the theaters is louder than any warning. The city is alive, and it believes nothing can stop its rise. Let the glow of candlelit stages warm your thoughts for a moment. Let the applause soften your breath. Let the voices of London's greatest writers drift through your mind like gentle waves. This is a city at its creative peak, a city in love with stories, a city dreaming with open eyes. But soon, a different kind of story will arrive. One not written by poets, one not performed for crowds, one carved instead into the very skin of the city. The plague is coming, but not tonight. Chapter 3. The night the city held its breath. Close your eyes a little, my friend. Let the hush of the night settle around you like a soft cloak. London is still glowing with candlelight from the theaters, still humming with the excitement of new ideas, still dancing in the warmth of King James's peaceful beginnings. But beneath the surface, a quiet tension is growing, a thread pulled too tight, a whisper passed too often, a fear that refuses to vanish completely. This is the chapter when London feels a shadow brushing against its shoulder, a shadow made of secrecy, powder, and silence, and it begins in the year 1605. A city of mixed faiths. James I has promised moderation. He has spoken kindly of peace, but London is full of old wounds and new suspicions. Some Catholics hope the new king will restore their freedoms. Some Protestants fear the slightest hint of compromise. Priests hide in secret chambers in rural houses. Families whisper prayers behind closed doors. Every church bell seems to carry a question. London tries to move forward, but the past clings to it like damp fog. And in this fog, dangerous ideas begin to grow.
They are well kept, sir. Dry as a sermon.
A plan in the shadows. A small group of desperate Catholic men decide that patience is no longer possible. They gather in dimly lit rooms, whispering their frustrations. Among them is a tall, quiet soldier with a stern face and a reputation for discipline. Guy Fawkes. A man who has seen war. A man who understands gunpowder. A man who believes the kingdom can change only through the most extreme act imaginable. Their plan is simple in words, impossible in spirit. They will blow up Parliament during its ceremonial opening. They will kill the king. They will destroy the Lords, the Commons, the court, and the future of the Protestant settlement. In one terrible instant, they hope to break the kingdom so they can build it anew. It is a plan born from despair, and one that will bring London to the edge of disaster. Beneath the Palace of Westminster, the conspirators rent a cellar beneath the House of Lords. They fill it slowly, carefully with barrels of powder, barrels of danger, barrels that, if ignited, would send a thunderous blast rolling across the river and shaking London to its bones. Guy Fawkes is placed in charge of the explosives. He waits, he watches, he prepares. October becomes November. The cold seeps into the stones. The cellar grows darker. The barrels sit silent like sleeping beasts. Above them, the palace bustles with normal life. Guards walk by, clerks carry documents. Courtiers laugh about gossip. No one knows what lies beneath their feet. Not yet.
Yield in the king's name.
A whisper unravels the plot.
By what?
One of the conspirators grows uncertain. He fears the explosion will kill Catholic nobles who will be attending Parliament. He sends an anonymous letter, a warning. a cautious whisper sent through the cracks of fate. The letter reaches Lord Monteagle, who reads it aloud by candlelight. His voice trembles. His servants pause, listening. Something is wrong. He sends the letter to the authorities. Investigations begin. Quiet at first, careful, shadowed. But then, on the night of November 4th, guards descend into the cellars. And there, in the flickering glow of torchlight, they find a man standing watch over barrels he cannot deny. Guy Fawkes. His arrest echoes through London faster than any messenger could ever run. The city wakes in fear. By dawn, London is a swirl of voices. They found gunpowder, and they found a plot. They found a man ready to light the fuse. They found the end of the king's life only hours away. People stand in doorways, stunned. Mothers clutch their children. Merchants gather in the markets, arguing in hushed tones. Priests pray softly for mercy. Rumors spread like sparks in dry straw. A single night has changed everything. The city realizes how close it came to losing not just a king, but its stability, its government, its future. Even those who disagree with James feel the same cold shiver. London nearly died in its sleep. Guy Fawkes, before the king. Guy Fawkes is brought before the authorities. His face is bruised, but his posture remains strangely calm. They ask him who else is involved. He refuses to speak. They ask him why he agreed to such a plan. He speaks only of his faith and his conviction. For days, the authorities push harder. Eventually, under immense pressure, the names come. London listens to each new revelation with widening eyes. The king orders Thanksgiving services. Church bells ring with forced joy. Parliament declares November 5th a day of remembrance. Thus begins a tradition that will echo through centuries: bonfires, effigies, crackling flames, casting light on faces filled with both relief and fear. Remember, remember, the old rhyme begins here. London learns to live with suspicion. After the plot is exposed, a heavy weight settles over the city. Suspicion grows. Laws tighten. Catholics face greater restrictions. Priests hide more carefully. Families watch their neighbors with guarded eyes. James himself becomes more cautious, more defensive, more aware that the crown he wears is perched above a ground that can shake at any moment. London tries to resume its normal rhythm. Markets open, theaters perform, ships arrive at the docks. Life moves forward. But beneath the surface, there is a new tension. A sense that danger can emerge from any shadow. A night that will never be forgotten. Over the years, the memory of the gunpowder plot changes shape. At first it is fear, then anger, then a strange mixture of celebration and warning. Each November 5th, bonfires crackle across the city. Children laugh, families gather, fireworks burst into bright colors above the river. They celebrate survival, but also remember the fragility of peace. And every year, as flames rise into the dark sky, London whispers a quiet truth to itself. The city has been tested before. It will be tested again, but it endures. It always endures. Rest now. Let the sound of distant fireworks fade from your imagination. Let the crackle of bonfires dissolve into silence. Let your breath fall into the same calm rhythm London found the morning after the danger had passed. The century has only begun, and far greater storms are approaching, but not tonight. Chapter 4: Lanterns of Thought. London's first scientific stirrings. Settle deeper into your pillow, my friend. Slow your breath, as though you are stepping into a quiet library where every sound becomes softer, every movement slower. Tonight we enter a different kind of London. Not the noisy London of theaters and marketplaces, but a quieter, more thoughtful city. A London of scholars, of curious minds, of lanterns glowing past midnight in rooms filled with books and instruments. This is the beginning of something subtle yet extraordinary, the early stirring of the scientific age. It will not erupt like a storm. It will bloom like dawn. A city hungry for knowledge. By the early 1600s, London is swelling with ideas. Ships bring spices and silks, yes, but they also bring stories of unfamiliar stars, strange plants, mysterious animals, and distant cultures. Merchants return from Asia with tales of new medicines. Sailors claim they have seen constellations unknown to English skies. Travelers describe ancient architecture, unusual languages, and unfamiliar customs. Curiosity begins to ripple through the city like a slow, warm current. At alehouses, men argue not only about politics but about the shape of the world. In universities, scholars whisper about new theories from Italy and France. In hidden corners, alchemists stir mixtures that bubble with the promise of transformation. Even ordinary Londoners feel the shift. They look at the heavens with new questions. They walk through the streets with new wonder. The city is waking up. The philosophers gather. In London, a small circle of thinkers begins to meet in taverns, private houses, and university chambers. Their identities change over time, but their purpose remains the same: to observe, to measure, to question, to seek truth not from tradition alone, but from the world itself. Some are professors, some are physicians, some are wealthy men with leisure to study. Some are clerics fascinated by the vastness of creation. They carry notebooks filled with sketches of plants, diagrams of machines, calculations of celestial motion, and lists of strange observations made along the river. When they talk, the conversations drift like smoke. Why does water boil? Why do magnets pull iron? What is light made of? What lies inside the human body? Do all stars move? Is the universe infinite? And what, in the quiet of the night, does God truly intend for the world to learn from its own design? London begins to feel like a giant classroom. In the house of a curious man. Picture a small study lit by a single candle. Books line the walls, their pages worn from use. On the table rests a brass astrolabe, a few vials, a dusty human skull, and a pile of papers covered in elegant handwriting. A man sits hunched over a diagram of the moon's phases. His breath is slow. His fingers are ink-stained. Outside his windows, London sleeps. This scene repeats itself across the city in houses of all kinds. Some scholars work in comfort near the fire. Others crouch beside a small table in cramped rooms above noisy streets. A few gather groups of eager students around them, pointing at strange instruments imported from Italy. The city becomes a patchwork of small, illuminated islands, each flickering with its own little flame of thought. Knowledge spreads not by decree, but by quiet dedication. James I and the world of letters. James I may not be a scientific genius, but he loves books. He reads voraciously. He debates with scholars. He surrounds himself with thinkers. He writes treatises on theology, monarchy, and even witchcraft, revealing a mind constantly seeking order in the world. His court encourages learning. His curiosity signals to London that this is a time when ideas matter, when the pen can shape the future as powerfully as the sword. London responds with enthusiasm. More books are printed, more libraries open, more tutors find employment, more intellectual groups meet regularly in private chambers, whispering theories that will one day transform human understanding. The king may be eccentric, but he is a patron of thought, and the city grows smarter under his watch. The new physicians. Medicine also begins to change. Doctors increasingly rely on observation rather than ancient authority. They conduct dissections, though often in secret. They study anatomy with careful hands and troubled hearts. They try to understand why one person recovers from illness while another does not. Some physicians travel to the countryside to document herbs, roots, and local remedies. Others experiment with new mixtures and treatments. The common people remain skeptical. For many, illness is still a matter of faith, fate, or spirits. But the seeds of modern medicine are quietly sprouting in London's hospitals and guild halls. A new way of healing begins to take shape. Alchemists and dreamers. In dark cellars and smoky rooms across the city, alchemists continue their ancient quest. They heat strange metals. They distill herbs. They grind powders by candlelight. They whisper incantations and scribble equations on parchment. Most of their experiments lead nowhere. Some end in small explosions, but their curiosity about the nature of matter becomes a bridge between old traditions and new science. From their failures will grow chemistry. From their dreams will rise laboratories. From their questions will emerge methods that future generations will refine. London hums with ambition, even in its strangest corners. The birth of gentle inquiry. Above all, the early scientific spirit of London is gentle. It is not loud. It is not triumphant. It is not revolutionary. It is simply curious. A candle held up to darkness. A quiet step toward truth. A moment when humans begin to look at the world not only with reverence, but with wonder. Scholars compare notes. Once they write letters, they share ideas. They argue kindly, then passionately, then kindly again. They understand that knowledge grows slowly, like vines climbing a garden wall. London's gardens of thought begin to bloom. Let yourself imagine those softly lit rooms, those quills scratching slowly across parchment, those curious hands turning strange instruments in the glow of a candle. London is learning how to think in a new way. Not through fear, not through tradition alone, but through observation, debate, and humble curiosity. It is only the beginning. The greatest discoveries are still far ahead, but the foundation is being laid. Rest with that gentle image. Chapter 5. Whispers of the Coming Plague. Breathe gently, my friend. Let your shoulders loosen, your thoughts drift. Tonight we walk through London in the years just before the storm. A city bright with theater lights and buzzing marketplaces, yet carrying a quiet tremor beneath its surface. James I is still new to the throne. The playhouses flourish. Scholars debate in candle-lit rooms. Merchants grow wealthy from distant seas. But something else is growing too, and something softer, darker, invisible. The first signs of plague. London does not know it yet. But the city is becoming a place where sickness can move like a shadow, fast and silent, slipping through the gaps of life. Let us drift through these uneasy streets. A city overflowing with people. London at the start of the 17th century is booming. More people arrive each week, drawn by opportunity. Farmers hoping for steady work. Craftsmen seeking apprenticeships. Sailors looking for new voyages. Foreigners bringing strange spices and stories. The city swells far beyond its medieval walls. Houses rise quickly, leaning awkwardly into one another. Rooms crowd with families, lodgers, and servants. Alleys narrow into twisting corridors of noise and smell. Animals roam the streets. Waste flows freely where it should not. Everywhere you turn, there is life. Too much life for the space it occupies. No one calls it dangerous. No one imagines it can break. People simply shrug and say, "London grows." What else should London do? But growth without breath is strain. And strain always leaves cracks. In those cracks, sickness waits. The air that holds secrets. Londoners often speak of the city's smell, a mixture of smoke, river mud, animals, roasting meat, spilled ale, human waste, perfumes, and damp stone. Most days it is simply the scent of life. A strong scent, yes, but familiar. But on some evenings, when the wind is still, a different smell clings to the air. Sharper, heavier, like something rotting far beneath the surface. The city physicians notice first. They whisper concerns to one another. They mention swelling numbers of fevers, unexplained chills, sudden coughs. Nothing alarming yet, nothing certain, but enough to make even the most experienced healers feel the hair rise on the back of their necks. The air feels off, as if it holds secrets. The rats in the darkness. London has always had rats. They scurry through the gutters, slip under doors, rustle behind barrels and cellars. People ignore them. They are simply part of the city's rhythm. But lately, rats seem bolder, more visible, more numerous. Children see them racing along the riverbanks at dusk. Merchants catch them nibbling at sacks of grain. Innkeepers discover them in storerooms, their black eyes reflecting candlelight like tiny polished stones. Still, no one connects them to danger. Rats are rats. They do as they please. Yet in the shadows, fleas jump from their backs. Invisible passengers carrying something ancient and deadly. A quiet exchange that no human notices. Strange patterns of sickness. By 1609, small clusters of illness appear in crowded parishes. A child dies suddenly. 2 days later, a neighbor. A week later, someone in the next street. Doctors argue over causes. Some blame the cold. Some blame bad food. Some blame punishment from heaven. Some quietly suspect something older. The government monitors parish death registers. Small increases are noted, nothing severe. But patterns begin to form, note lines on paper that look ordinary at first glance. But when connected, they create a map that whispers of danger. London continues its daily life. People go to the theater. Merchants trade by the river. Church bells ring over busy streets. But beneath it all, the city's pulse feels irregular. A skipped beat here, a sudden flutter there. Fear without understanding. At night, rumors drift through taverns like smoke. Someone says they heard of a household sealed up farther east. Another insists that cattle have fallen ill. Someone else swears the sickness came by ship from the south. Most people dismiss the rumors. Londoners are accustomed to hardship. Illness comes and goes. Yet even the bravest feel uneasy when the wind carries a strange chill, or when a friend falls sick without warning. Parents keep children indoors more often. Neighbors keep their distance when someone coughs. Priests offer extra prayers without explaining why. Fear grows quietly, not loud enough to cause panic, just enough to murmur under the breath of the city. The physician's private worry. In small, warm rooms lit by flickering candles, London's physicians gather to compare notes. They describe swellings, fever, sudden death, symptoms too familiar for comfort. Some have read accounts of the great medieval plague. They recognize similarities. Their fingers tremble slightly as they turn the pages, but none dare say the word aloud. That word carries too much terror, too much memory. Instead, they speak in cautious phrases. I fear something spreading. I fear this pattern. I fear this is not ordinary. But fear alone proves nothing. They continue their visits. They continue their attempts to treat the sick. They continue hoping that the shadows will lift on their own. London keeps dancing. Despite the early warnings, life in London does not stop. The theaters are full. Markets overflow. Ships unload goods from every corner of the world. The city feels invincible. Even when sickness rises slightly, people tell themselves that London is too strong, too proud, too blessed to fall to disease. After all, Elizabeth's golden age has just passed. A confident king sits on the throne. Trade is booming, ideas flourish, fortunes are rising. In the glow of prosperity, danger feels impossible, but prosperity can be the sweetest distraction. And shadows thrive in distraction. A quiet warning. The year creeps toward 1620 with only mild disturbances. Small waves of sickness sweep through the poorest districts. Parish clerks record more deaths than usual. Doctors appear more tired, more anxious. But nothing breaks. Not yet. London stands tall, unaware that it is living in the last years of relative safety before a great darkness. The whispers of plague are faint, like footsteps approaching from very far away. But night journeys always begin with faint sounds. And London, restless and alive, does not yet hear them clearly. Let the image settle for a moment. A city brilliant on the surface, but quietly trembling beneath the cobblestones. A city laughing in the theaters, while small warning signs flicker in the corners of its vision. This is the calm before the storm, the hush before the cry, the breath before the plunge. The plague is coming. But not yet. Sleep softly now. Chapter 6. The Great Plague of 1625. Ease your breath, my friend. Let your eyes rest a moment longer. For tonight we drift into one of the darkest, yet most defining moments in London's long history. Not with fear, but with calm curiosity. Not with terror, but with gentle understanding. It is the year 1625. James I has died, and his son Charles I has just taken the throne. The coronation bells are barely silent when something else begins to ring in the distance. Not bells of celebration, bells of warning. The plague has arrived. The first quiet signs. It begins the way storms often do, not with thunder, but with a shift in the wind. A few unusual deaths in the parish of St. Giles. A family suddenly taken ill in the crowded alleys near the Fleet River. A merchant who falls sick too quickly for comfort. Parish clerks note the causes with uncertain hands. Doctors glance at their records and feel their stomachs tighten. They recognize the pattern, though they wish they did not. But still, life continues. Londoners have lived through smaller outbreaks before. They trust in the rhythm of the city. They tell themselves it will pass, yet the numbers grow. the bell ringers begin their work. By early summer, the city no longer whispers, it listens. Each morning, parish clerks walk to the old churchyards to post the weekly bills of mortality. People gather around, squinting at the tall sheets of parchment listing all the deaths of the previous week. More than normal, far more. Sometimes the sheets flutter in the breeze, as if trying to hide the truth. But the numbers stay. Londoners begin to avoid crowded places. Parents keep children inside. Merchants open their shops with shorter hours. Preachers deliver sermons with voices that tremble slightly, and through the streets, the muffled sound of church bells begins to rise. Soft, slow, steady, tolling for the departed. It echoes gently across the river like a sorrowful lullaby. The city slowly closes its eyes. By midsummer, the plague tightens its grip. People move less. Doors remain shut. Windows stay shuttered even in the heat. Theaters close again, not because of royal decree this time, but because no one dares to sit shoulder to shoulder in a crowded hall. Markets thin out. Ships unload with caution. Many families flee the city for the countryside, leaving behind locked homes and hurried farewells. London, normally loud and restless, becomes strangely quiet. It feels like a city falling asleep under a dark blanket. The silence is eerie, but also oddly peaceful, like snow falling, like breath slowing, like night descending over a tired world. The plague's paths. The sickness does not spread evenly. It hunts the poorest districts first, where houses stand packed like books on a shelf. St. Giles, Clerkenwell, Smithfield, Whitechapel. Narrow lanes where families live on top of one another. Rooms shared by strangers. Air that rarely moves. Here the numbers rise fastest. The wealthier parishes suffer too, but more slowly, like fire creeping along stone instead of straw. Doctors continue their visits, though with greater fear. Some carry bunches of herbs tied with ribbon, believing the scent will protect them. Others hold vinegar-soaked sponges to their faces. A few, desperate and brave, keep detailed notes of symptoms to understand the pattern. Their journals will one day become valuable records of the past. But in this moment, they are simply men trying to navigate a darkness they cannot fully see. Flea and rat, unseen and unfeared. Most Londoners do not yet know the true cause. They blame the heavens, the weather, foul vapors, divine anger, bad luck. They do not realize the culprits are tiny fleas riding on the backs of rats, creatures so common that people rarely notice them. Rats scurry along the docks, scamper through warehouses, slip beneath doors, and nest in warm corners of kitchens and inns. Their fleas leap silently from one living thing to another. Invisible sparks jumping across an invisible map. A deadly chain that no one understands. the city's strange beauty. Dark times often reshape the world in unexpected ways. During the plague months, London takes on a peculiar beauty. Streets that once roared with carts now lie empty under the summer sun. The Thames moves quietly, its surface smooth as glass. Trees in churchyards sway gently, without the usual chorus of voices beneath them. And at night, the stars seem brighter, as if the sky has opened wider in the absence of smoke and noise. It is a haunting beauty, but a real one. Even hardship can carry its own strange softness. Acts of courage. In the heart of the disaster, courage blooms. Priests walk from door to door, offering comfort. Physicians remain in the city to tend the sick. Kind neighbors leave food on doorsteps of quarantined homes. Some families take in orphaned children. Some apothecaries give away remedies for free. Bravery often whispers, not shouts. And in these months, London whispers courage everywhere. The plague reaches its peak. By autumn, the plague numbers soar. The bells toll constantly. The bills of mortality stretch longer each week. The city feels as if it is holding its breath, waiting, hoping, praying for relief. The cold weather finally slows the spread. Fleas grow sluggish. Infections decrease. The numbers begin to fall. The bells ring less often. The bills shorten. People peek from their windows again. The storm is passing. Slowly, gently, but definitely. A city that begins to wake. By winter's end, the plague has loosened its grip. Shops reopen. Children step into the streets again. Sermons shift from mourning to thanksgiving. London has survived. Not unchanged, not unscarred, but still breathing, still standing, still dreaming. The people step cautiously into a quieter world, feeling as if they are waking from a long, fevered sleep. The city exhales. Let that image settle in your mind. A city battered by darkness, yet glowing faintly with resilience under the winter sky. A city that bends, but does not break. A city learning once again that storms, even the darkest ones, eventually pass. Rest in that thought for a moment. Chapter 7. The Slow Reawakening. Settle deeper into your pillow, my friend. Let your breath stretch out like a calm tide. Tonight we walk through London as it opens its eyes after the long, dark dream of the plague. It is early 1626. Winter frost melts from rooftops. Chimneys release thin ribbons of smoke into the pale morning sky. A sense of relief wraps itself around the city like a blanket warmed by the first light of dawn. The storm has passed, and now comes the slow reawakening. A city that steps carefully. When a person wakes from fever, they do not leap from their bed. They rise slowly, blinking, uncertain, heart still tender. London behaves the same. Shops reopen, but cautiously. Traders lift wooden shutters, as if handling fragile glass. Market stalls return to the streets, each one arranged with quiet ceremony. Theaters prepare to bring laughter back to the public, although actors rehearse in hushed voices. People step into the streets like someone stepping onto ice, one foot placed gently, then the next, testing their balance, listening for cracks that might signal danger. The fear has not vanished. It lingers like a faint scent carried by the wind. But Londoners breathe anyway. They have learned how to carry fear without letting it stop life. The bells fall silent. For months, the city lived inside a cocoon of church bells, soft, heavy, sorrowful notes ringing at all hours, each toll marking another loss. Now the bells are quiet. It is unsettling at first. The silence feels too big, like a church suddenly emptied of worshipers. But gradually, the quiet becomes comforting. The city learns how to listen again, to footsteps, to laughter, to the splash of water at the riverside, to the rustle of goods being loaded into ships, to the whispers of people returning to work. Silence, once frightening, becomes a gentle companion. The return of color. During the plague months, London felt gray, as though the city's palette had been washed in rainwater, but slowly, color returns. Red apples pile high at market tables. Blue cloth hangs from dyers' racks along the river. Golden feathers decorate hats worn by wealthier citizens. Bright ribbons flutter in the breeze from a stall in Cheapside. Fresh green herbs appear again in the baskets of street vendors. It is as though the city is breathing color back into itself, shade by shade. Even the faces of the people begin to regain warmth. Eyes brighten, cheeks glow. Children smile more freely. Life moves gently through the streets like a painter adding light to a canvas. The wounds left behind. But reawakening is not the same as forgetting. Many houses remain empty. Some families are smaller. Some workshops never reopen because their masters are gone. Some streets feel hollow, like shells left after the tide retreats. London carries these absences quietly. There are no great memorials, no grand ceremonies, only the personal rituals of remembrance. A mother places fresh flowers by a window each morning. A husband keeps his wife's shoes beside the bed. A child whispers goodnight to a name carved into a wooden beam. Grief moves softly through the city like a weary traveler, touching doors and drifting away again. It is part of the reawakening. To heal is to remember gently. New rules, new caution. The government has learned hard lessons. Physicians submit recommendations. Merchants demand better sanitation. Clergy preach about charity and responsibility. Quarantines are refined. Burial practices regulated. Public hygiene discussed more seriously than ever before. the city begins to understand that survival is not luck alone. It is preparation. It is awareness. It is the willingness to change. The plague has forced London to step toward modernity, though slowly and with some resistance. And though fear remains, it transforms from panic into wisdom. A new spirit in the markets. By spring, the markets regain their familiar rhythm. Vendors shout prices again. Fishmongers display their catch. Farmers bring cartloads of vegetables. Leather workers spread their wares across wooden boards. Mothers haggle for fresh bread. Sailors laugh loudly as they carry crates from the docks. But something feels different. There is more gratitude in the air, more gentleness in the way people treat one another, more kindness exchanged in simple gestures. Londoners have lived through darkness together. Shared hardship tends to soften bitterness and strengthen community. Friendships form between neighbors who barely spoke before. Merchants show more honesty in their dealings. And even the famously stern city watch seems a little less severe. London has not just survived, it has learned. The playhouses and the return of laughter. One of the clearest signs of reawakening comes when theaters reopen. People gather again outside the playhouses in Southwark, their hands cold but their spirits eager. Actors step onto wooden stages with renewed energy, their costumes bright, their voices strong, their stories filled with wit and warmth. Laughter rises into the air like birds taking flight. For a moment, the memory of sickness fades. The city remembers joy. It remembers clever wordplay, exaggerated gestures, and stories that carry both truth and humor. Charles I encourages the arts, and London embraces them like an old friend returned after a long absence. A city that breathes again. With each passing week, the city grows more confident. Ships sail more freely. Workshops hum with the sound of hammers and saws. University halls fill with students once more. Churches ring bells for weddings instead of funerals. Children run through the streets, shouting games again. The city inhales fully, for the first time in months. A breath of life, a breath of hope, a breath of renewal. Even the river seems to move with lighter ripples, as though the Thames itself senses the shift. The quiet lesson of the plague. As London reawakens, a lesson settles softly across the city. Life is fragile, yes, but it is also persistent. It bends, but does not break. It hides when danger rises, then blooms again when safety returns. London begins to trust in its own resilience. It knows now that it can endure hardship. It knows that darkness does not last forever. It knows that even after the coldest winter, spring will come. The plague has altered the city, but it has not conquered it. Let that image rest gently in your mind. A city blinking in the sunlight after a long night. A city stepping forward with caution but also with quiet pride. A city learning to breathe again, slowly and steadily. This is the reawakening of London. Chapter 8. New Rituals, New Rhythms. Take a slow breath, my friend. Let your body soften beneath the blankets. Tonight we wander through a London gently rearranging itself after sorrow, like a person tidying their room after a long illness. The year is slipping toward the late 1620s. The plague has retreated, leaving behind memories that cling to the city like morning mist on stone. But life does not stay frozen in fear. It shifts, it adapts. It finds new rituals and new rhythms. London begins to discover who it is becoming. The churches fill again. When the plague raged, many churches stood half empty. People prayed at home. Some priests fled for safety. Others died while tending the sick. Now the bells ring more brightly. Londoners return to the pews with a sense of gratitude. Some arrive early, sitting quietly in the glow of stained glass. Others kneel longer after the sermon ends. There is a shared feeling that survival carries responsibility, that life is a gift that must be honored. Churches host community gatherings, offering bread to the poor, blankets to widows, and lessons to children who lost parents. Faith becomes not only a set of rituals, but a network of care. And although sermons sometimes speak sternly of divine warning, many Londoners listen instead for reassurance. They have endured enough fear. Now they want comfort. Domestic life discovers gentleness. Inside London homes, life takes on a softer tone. Families eat meals together more regularly. Parents tell stories by firelight. Households that once bustled with apprentices and servants now feel quieter, more intimate. People clean more often, not just for appearance, but from a deeper desire for order. Windows are washed, beds are aired, floors scrubbed, homes become small sanctuaries. Simplicity gains value. A clean hearth, a warm blanket, a fresh loaf of bread, a pot of herbs growing by the window. These things now feel precious. Londoners cherish the ordinary moments that plague months, once made impossible. The laughter of children, the warm smell of baking, the comfort of conversation around dinner. Home becomes a haven, not merely a sleeping place. The marketplace learns new manners. Life in the marketplace also changes. During the outbreak, crowds were feared. Now people return carefully, but with politeness born from shared hardship. Vendors greet customers with warmer smiles. Shoppers speak more gently. Disputes are fewer, or at least shorter. Instead of pushing through narrow aisles, people step aside for one another with small nods of respect. There is a sense that everyone carries unseen burdens, and kindness is the easiest way to lighten the weight. Even the sounds shift. Less shouting, more conversation, less frantic bargaining, more steady patience. It is a marketplace, relearning how to breathe. New health customs bloom. The plague leaves London with new habits. People begin to value fresh air. Windows are opened more often, letting cool breeze sweep through rooms. Villagers traveling into the city bring herbs to sell, believing they clear the air of illness. Lavender bundles hang near doorways. Rosemary sprigs sit in cups of water on tables. Some customs are practical, some are superstitious, but all are born from the same desire: to live safely, mindfully, and with greater awareness of the body. Water cellars become more popular. Bathhouses see more visitors, though still cautiously. Doctors encourage cleaner streets, though change comes slowly. London does not yet understand disease the way future generations will, but it understands the importance of care. Hygiene becomes a quiet, growing value. The river gains new meaning. The Thames, always central to London life, gains a fresh significance. During plague months, the river was seen as a corridor of danger, carrying goods, animals, and sometimes sickness. Now people look to the Thames for healing. They walk along its banks to clear their minds. They sit on worn wooden benches and watch the water drift past. They breathe deeper near the river, trusting its breeze, its movement, its gentle murmur. Fishermen return to work. Boats glide smoothly along the surface. Children skip stones into the current. The river becomes a symbol of resilience, constant yet ever-changing, wounded yet healing, a reminder that life moves forward even after great sorrow. Art, music, and the need to feel alive. After the plague's retreat, London hungers for beauty. Musicians gather near taverns and play soft, wistful tunes. Artists draw portraits of families who survived, capturing faces filled with new depth. Poets write verses about endurance, loss, and gratitude. People crave expression. They want to feel alive again. Even household entertainment flourishes. Storytelling, simple songs, small dances in kitchens, children staging pretend plays in the yard. Life becomes art in little ways. Not grand, not theatrical, just human. Community bonds strengthen. The plague created unlikely friendships. Neighbors who barely acknowledged one another now share meals. Parishes hold gatherings to support widows and orphans. Merchants cooperate more willingly to stabilize food prices. Young people volunteer to help clean streets or repair houses. London discovers that community is not a luxury. It is a lifeline. People rely on one another more openly. They speak with honesty about their fears. They comfort each other. Even if arguments still occur, as they always will, the city holds a new understanding. People survive together. No one says this aloud. It simply exists like an invisible thread woven through daily life. A new appreciation for time. When sickness threatens life, time becomes precious. Londoners begin to cherish slow mornings, shared meals, the sound of rain, the warmth of sun on stone. They walk more, they rest more. They savor quiet moments. Time no longer feels like something to conquer. It feels like something to hold gently. A baker warms his hands over the oven, grateful for the heat. A mother braids her daughter's hair, grateful for her presence. A sailor returning from a voyage hugs his family longer than usual. Grief teaches urgency, but survival teaches tenderness. The city that learns to live again. By the end of the 1620s, London no longer moves with fear but with awareness. It looks inward with honesty. It looks outward with caution. It looks forward with hope. The city is not the same as before. It is wiser, more patient, more connected, and more alive. The plague has rewritten London's rhythm, not violently, but subtly, like a musician adding new notes to an old melody, and the melody continues. Imagine a city washed by soft rain, its streets glistening, its people moving slowly but steadily. London is returning to itself. Not the London of old, a newer, gentler London, one that understands that to live is to adapt, to care, to cherish. Let that image rest in your thoughts as you breathe calmly. Chapter 9, Shadows Behind the Calm. Settle deeper into your blanket, my friend. Slow your thoughts, like leaves drifting on a quiet river. Tonight we move into a different layer of London's story, a softer chapter, yet one filled with subtle tension, like the feeling that the weather will soon change. The plague has passed. Life has regained its rhythm. Families are rebuilding. Markets are humming again. But beneath this peaceful surface, London begins to sense small tremors. Nothing violent, nothing sudden. Only faint cracks in the foundation of the kingdom. Charles I sits on the throne. Beautiful palaces glimmer along the river. But the king carries ideas that will soon collide with the people who walk the London streets. The calm after the plague hides a quiet brewing storm. A king of ceremony and distance, Charles I is very different from his father. James I loved talking. He enjoyed debates, long conversations, public appearances. People knew his voice. Charles prefers silence. He moves carefully. He speaks softly. He treats the monarchy like a sacred stage where every step must be measured and graceful. He builds a court filled with art, music, and elegance. Painters arrive from Europe. Musicians fill royal halls with soft melodies. Tapestries shimmer beneath candlelight. Many admire this beauty, but some Londoners find it distant, almost cold. They whisper that the king lives in a world too perfect, too polished, too far from the muddy streets of the city. It is not hostility, just unease. A sense that the king's dreams drift higher than the lives of his subjects. The rising power of Parliament. While the king drifts toward ceremony, Parliament grows more confident. Members demand more influence over taxes, trade, and the kingdom's future. They argue that the country should not rely only on the king's judgment. They believe in shared governance, a balance of power. Debates begin quietly, then grow firmer, then sharper. Londoners follow these political quarrels with interest. Merchants prefer stability and predictable laws. Guild masters worry about royal taxes. Sailors complain about rising naval costs. Ordinary workers hear rumors in taverns and wonder who truly protects their future. The tension is not yet visible in the streets, but it vibrates in conversations, in pamphlets, in sermons. A kingdom with two rising centers of power always carries hidden friction. Religion adds fuel to quiet fires. Religion, already delicate in England, adds another layer of strain. Charles I supports a more elaborate, ceremonial form of worship. He appoints church leaders who prefer incense, altars, and ornate rituals. To some worshippers, this beauty feels holy. To others, it feels threatening, too close to old Catholic traditions. Londoners talk softly about these changes. Some shrug and return to prayer. Others frown and speak more passionately. Religion is not just belief. It is identity, it is memory, it is fear and hope mixed together. A shift in ritual touches the heart, sometimes more strongly than a shift in law. These religious tensions move gently through London like long shadows at sunset, barely noticeable at first glance, but impossible to ignore once seen. New taxes and old frustrations. To support his elegant court and strengthen the navy, Charles needs money, lots of money, but Parliament resists granting it. So the king turns to older, less popular methods: forced loans, fines, custom fees, maritime taxes. Some are legal, some are questionable. All are unpopular. Merchants groan under heavier fees at the docks. Shopkeepers complain quietly to their neighbors. Even wealthier citizens feel the weight of royal decisions on their purses. Still, these frustrations are whispered, not shouted. The city remembers the plague. It remembers how easily life falters. People want peace, not conflict. But peace built on silence is fragile. The streets sense the change. Wander with me now through the streets of London. Look at the faces, the soft uncertainty in the eyes of merchants, counting their coins, the thoughtful frowns of apprentices, listening to their masters discuss politics, the murmured conversations in taverns where sailors wonder if new taxes will cut their wages. Londoners are practical. They care about trade, bread, and work more than philosophy. But even they notice the shifting air. The city feels like a stage where characters begin to move into positions for a drama that has not yet been announced. People feel it without being able to name it. Something is changing. Artists capture the mood. Interestingly, the artists of Charles's court sense the tension long before the citizens do. Painters create portraits that show the king noble but alone. Eyes distant, jaw set, hands gentle but firm. A man of ideals, drifting away from the crowd he must lead. Poets write verses about storms beneath calm seas, about rulers who walk a narrow path, about nations trembling on the edge of unknown turning points. Even musicians compose melancholic melodies beneath the joyful tunes played during feasts. Art, as always, reveals the truth before the world admits it. The Thames watches silently. Through all this, the Thames remains steady. Boats glide along its silver surface. Dock workers carry crates, their muscles moving in quiet rhythm. Sailors sing soft work songs that echo across the water. The river has seen other tensions, other kings, other worries. It does not judge or hurry. It simply flows. Sometimes Londoners sit by its banks for comfort, watching ripples move slowly toward the sea. The water feels wiser than the city, more patient, more accepting of the long cycles of history. London breathes deeply in the presence of the Thames. It remembers that every worry is temporary, every storm brief compared to the river's endless journey. A city balancing on the edge of tomorrow. By the early 1630s, London stands between two worlds. One world is familiar, the world of workshops, markets, laughter, and prayer. The other is emerging, a world of political questions, religious anxieties, and financial strain. The city does not fall into chaos. Not yet, but it slows its step, looks around, and senses the approaching shift. This is a London between breaths, between calm and turbulence, between certainty and change. It is the quietest moment before a new chapter. Let this image linger. A city peaceful on the surface, yet carrying small tremors beneath its cobblestones. A king devoted to beauty, yet drifting from his people. A population loyal, yet quietly uneasy. A river eternal, watching silently. London is walking towards something it cannot yet see. Rest with that gentle thought. Chapter 10. The King Who Ruled Alone. Close your eyes a little more, my friend. Let your breath flow like a calm tide rolling against soft sand. Tonight we step deeper into the quiet corridors of 17th century London, where the city moves through a new chapter of stillness mixed with unease. The year is 1629. Parliament and Charles I have argued one too many times. Voices rose, tempers tightened. And then, like someone slamming shut a heavy wooden door, the king dissolved Parliament and decided to rule without it. London does not erupt. It does not riot. It does not cry out. Instead, the city goes quiet. A stillness that feels almost polite, almost patient. But beneath it there is tension, like a long bowstring, gently pulled but not yet released. This will be remembered as the king's personal rule, a period of nearly 11 years when he governs England alone. Let us wander gently through this time. A kingdom without debate. In most years, Parliament is where grievances are aired, where taxes are discussed, where policies are shaped, where the people's concerns find a voice. But from 1629 onward, those halls fall silent. Meetings do not convene. Benches gather dust. Speakers wait in vain for summons that never come. Some Londoners are relieved. No arguments, no shouting, no political drama spilling into the taverns. But many feel uneasy, as if the kingdom has stopped breathing out. A system built on conversation now rests in silence. And silence can be comforting or frightening depending on who listens. A beautiful court far from the city. Charles I thrives in this new solitude. With no parliament to question his decisions, he pours his energy into the royal court, transforming it into a jewel box of art, music, and ceremony. Painters walk through the palace halls, carrying brushes infused with European brilliance. Musicians rehearse soft harmonies that drift like perfume from chamber to chamber. Tapestries glow gold and crimson, capturing tales of myth and virtue. To the king, beauty is a kind of truth, a reflection of divine order, a reminder that the world can be perfect if shaped with enough grace. But outside these gleaming chambers, Londoners see a different truth. Their world is muddy and crowded. Their work long and tiring. Their problems practical, not polished. The king's vision feels too distant, as though his palace floats above the city on a cloud woven from silk and candlelight. Admired, yes, resented quietly. Both feelings exist side by side. New rules drift down from above. With Parliament silent, Charles introduces laws by royal decree. Ship money, forest fines, trade regulations. Fees inherited from medieval custom revived with new weight. Some are reasonable, some are outdated. Some place heavy burdens on those who can least afford it. The king believes he is strengthening the kingdom. Londoners believe the king is reaching too deeply into their purses. But complaints rarely echo loudly. People whisper at docks, at markets, in alehouses, but few dare to speak boldly. They have lived through plague. They have lived through hardship. Many choose acceptance over confrontation. Yet acceptance does not mean agreement. It simply means waiting. The churches grow more ornate. As the years pass, Charles continues reshaping religious life through Archbishop Laud. Churches become more ceremonial, altars rise, candles multiply, vestments shimmer. Music becomes richer, slower, more contemplative. Some parishioners adore this beauty. They feel lifted toward heaven. They feel peace in the ritual. Others grow wary. To them, this ceremony resembles old traditions they fear, traditions they thought England had left behind. Londoners begin attending sermons that challenge or defend these changes. Some preachers speak of loyalty, others speak of conscience. Fear of old divisions flickers like a candle flame. No chaos yet, only soft murmurs, shadows that stretch slowly along the edges of daily life. Life in the streets continues. Despite these shifts, London itself remains lively. Markets bustle, guilds expand, ships from Amsterdam, Venice, and the Ottoman Empire unload goods that shine with color and texture. Craftsmen work with steady hands. Children play in alleys. Actors rehearse in taverns, eager for theaters to reopen fully. Daily life is a thick blanket covering the city, smoothing over the cracks beneath. London endures whatever kings do. It always has. It always will. People laugh, argue, sell, trade, sing, and forget politics whenever possible. Yet even in this normal rhythm, a subtle tension hums in the background, like a lute string tuned just a little too tight. The quiet presses of dissent. In hidden corners of the city, printers begin producing pamphlets, small sheets, cheap paper, strong opinions compressed into tight paragraphs. Some support the king, some critique him, some whisper warnings of divine displeasure, some urge patience and unity. Pamphlets move through London like birds, passed hand to hand, read by candlelight, folded into pockets, left on tavern benches. Ideas spread faster than any guard can stop them. A kingdom might be ruled from the throne, but the mood of a city is shaped in its ale houses, and London's mood, though calm, is beginning to shift. Gently, slowly, but undeniably. Small sparks in the cold air. By the late 1630s, the strain becomes visible. Merchants resent ship money, Puritans resent religious rituals. Landowners resent forest fines. Sailors resent naval taxes. Each group alone is manageable, but together they form a quiet chorus of discontent. Not a scream, not a cry, just a rising hum. London feels it in the cold winter air, in the way crowds hesitate before cheering royal processions, in the way sermons tilt toward caution, in the way gossip spreads at docks like ripples in a pond. Storms rarely begin with thunder. They begin with pressure, invisible at first, then unmistakable. The pressure is growing. The city holds its breath. As the decade closes, London stands at the edge of something it cannot yet name. The silence of personal rule no longer feels peaceful. It feels stretched, thin, fragile. The king continues his graceful ceremonies. Parliament remains closed. The people continue their daily work. But every part of the city senses the approaching shift. A change in the wind, a flicker in the air. The kind of moment when nature pauses before releasing a storm. And London, wise and weary, braces gently. Hold the image for a moment. A king ruling alone in a palace of music and paintings. A people moving through crowded streets with quiet questions in their hearts. A city standing between calm and conflict, not yet knowing which way history will turn. London is waiting, breathing, listening. Chapter 11. the first tremors of rebellion. Settle deeper into your pillow, my friend. Let your breath fall into a slow, even rhythm. Tonight we drift into the early 1640s, when London begins to feel the distant thunder of a storm that has not yet arrived but is already forming far beyond the northern hills. The city is calm on the surface. Shops open, boats move along the Thames, children run between market stalls. But the air feels different now. Something stirs in Scotland. And London, though hundreds of miles away, senses the tremor. A kingdom of three lands. England is not the king's only realm. He also rules Scotland and Ireland, each with its own traditions, laws, and religious customs. For years, these lands have tolerated Charles I's quiet adjustments to worship. But now the king pushes farther. He introduces a new prayer book in Scotland, richer, more ceremonial, more aligned with the rituals he admires. To Charles, it is beauty. To many Scots, it is intrusion, unwelcome, unfamiliar, too close to old fears. And so protests begin. Not dramatic ones at first, only murmurs in churches, disapproving glances, and quiet refusals. But murmurs can grow the way a few raindrops can become a storm. The news reaches London. Londoners hear about the unrest from travelers, merchants, and sailors returning from northern ports. Stories drift through taverns in low voices. A gathering outside a cathedral, a preacher refusing the new liturgy, a crowd shouting for the old ways. A general sense of defiance spreading like a spark through dry grass. London listens, and London worries. The city knows that unrest in one part of the kingdom rarely stays there. Trouble has a habit of traveling. Still, these are only rumors. Life continues, but the mood changes. A slight tightening of shoulders, a little more whispering in marketplaces, a few more people lingering near bills of mortality, searching for meaning in ordinary records. London is a city that pays attention. The Scottish Covenant. In 1638, the Scots sign a national agreement known as the Covenant. It is a promise to defend their faith and their traditions against what they see as foreign influence. The news reaches London like an echo carried on cold wind. People speak of it with mixed emotions. Some admire the Scots for their unity. Some fear rebellion. Some wonder if England will one day face similar tensions. Some simply shake their heads and return to work. The city does not panic. It rarely panics. But it feels the shift, like a chill entering through a slightly open window. The king prepares for war. Charles I decides he must confront the Scottish opposition. He begins raising troops. Supplies are gathered, weapons polished. Messengers ride back and forth between London and the northern counties. For the first time in many years, London sees soldiers drilling more frequently. Uniforms march through the streets. Carriages filled with military goods roll along the river. It is not war yet, constantly preparation. But preparation is enough to make the city uneasy. War requires money. And Charles has ruled without parliament for over a decade. His coffers are strained. The burden will fall on the people. London holds its breath. Taxes that stir the streets. To fund the coming campaign, the king expands ship money, a tax originally meant for coastal defenses. Now inland counties must pay, even those far from the sea, even London's poorest households. The reaction is quiet but strong. Merchants complain to guild leaders. Shopkeepers groan as collectors knock on doors. Artisans argue in taverns over mugs of ale. Some refuse to pay. Some pay reluctantly. Some hide their worry beneath polite smiles. Resistance is not loud, but it is real. People mutter that the king asks too much, that the war is unnecessary, that the kingdom drifts without parliament. The murmurs gather like low thunder. The Thames mirrors the mood. Walk with me along the river for a moment. Look at the Thames. Usually lively, shimmering with the light of ship lanterns, filled with the sounds of oars and shouted greetings. Now it feels more subdued. Boats still glide across the surface, but with a heaviness. Dock workers speak less. Sailors glance northward, imagining the turmoil beyond the hills. Merchants calculate risks silently, wondering how conflict might steal their profits. Even the river seems to sense the approaching unrest. The water moves slowly, reflecting a gray sky that promises change. Conversations behind closed doors. London homes are filled with quiet conversations at night. Fathers speak to sons about the burden of taxes. Mothers worry about food prices. Apprentices whisper questions about loyalty and law. Craftsmen sit by firelight, wondering whether the king is still listening to his people. Some defend Charles, some criticize him. Some refuse to take sides. But everyone feels the shift, the gentle shaking in the ground beneath their daily routines. A kingdom ruled by one voice cannot ignore the voices rising around it, even if they whisper, not shout. The First Bishops' War begins. In 1639, the king marches north. London watches him leave with a mixture of pride, fear, and confusion. Is this war necessary? Is it a show of strength? Is it a mistake? No one knows. The campaign ends quickly and inconclusively. There is little fighting, little loss, but also little resolution. The Scots remain defiant. The king remains determined, and London remains deeply aware that nothing is truly settled, like placing a heavy book on a weak shelf. You know it will fall eventually. You just do not know when. The pressure builds. As the 1640s arrive, Charles needs more money for a second attempt. His taxes are insufficient. Loans are dried up. Merchants demand protections he cannot promise. He has only one option left. One door to open. One path he hoped to avoid. He must call Parliament again. After 11 years of ruling alone, the king must return to the chamber he once closed. London feels the significance instantly. It is as though a great breath has been drawn after a decade of holding it. Change is coming. Not slowly now, not subtly, but with the weight of history behind it. Let that image linger softly. A king who ruled in silence now, forced to seek counsel. A city watching the clouds gather on the horizon. A kingdom poised between patience and upheaval. The first tremors of rebellion are passing through London. Not loud, not violent, just steady, unmistakable. Chapter 12. The Parliament returns. Rest your hands gently on the blankets, my friend. Let your breath settle into a soft, steady rhythm. Tonight we walk with London into a moment of profound shift. A moment when silence gives way to voices, when patience gives way to questions, when a king must return to the hall he once closed. It is the year 1640. Spring air drifts through the streets, crisp and cool, carrying the scent of river mist and early blossoms. London wakes to the news that Charles I has summoned Parliament again. After 11 years of ruling alone, the king must now face the chamber that has waited in stillness, like a door unopened for far too long. The city reacts not with cheers nor with anger, but with deep, thoughtful curiosity. Something is beginning. A city holding its breath. When the news spreads, it moves gently through the markets, taverns, and churches. People pause mid-conversation. Merchants stop counting coins. Dock workers lower crates more slowly. Mothers look up from washing clothes. The word Parliament carries weight. Not loud weight, not heavy weight, but the kind that settles quietly into the soul. For 11 years, decisions have flowed from the palace to the city with no debate, no challenge, no shared voice. Now that silence is ending, and London feels it like the first crack of light before dawn. The streets begin to buzz. Within days, the mood shifts. Taverns fill with discussions, not rowdy but lively. Men speak softly about taxes, war, and tradition. Women discuss food prices and the needs of their families. Apprentices listen intently, suddenly aware that history is unfolding around them. On street corners, pamphlets appear, some praising the king's wisdom, some urging Parliament to stand firm, some whispering cautious hope that cooperation might return. The city is thoughtful, alert, alive. Even the sound of horses on cobblestones seems sharper, like the city is listening more closely than before. The return of the members. On the morning Parliament reconvenes, London gathers along the streets leading to Westminster, not for spectacle, not for festivity, but to watch. Members of Parliament arrive on horseback or in modest carriages, dressed not in splendor but in sober garments suited for long debates. Some nod politely to the crowd. Some keep their eyes lowered. Some look around with quiet determination. Londoners study their faces. Who will speak for them? Who will argue for justice? Who will challenge the king if needed? Who will defend him if necessary? The city does not look for heroes, just for voices. Voices that have been silent too long. The king watches from afar. Inside Whitehall Palace, Charles I prepares for the reopening with a mixture of resolve and apprehension. He still believes in his vision, in order, in beauty, in divine authority, but he knows the moment is delicate. He knows Parliament returns not as a partner, but almost as a judge. He knows grievances have piled up like books on a shelf, waiting for the day someone opens them. And he knows London is watching. Charles moves through his chambers quietly, the soft echo of footsteps following him like a shadow. He signs documents, reviews plans, and speaks with advisors in hushed voices. The king who once preferred silence now approaches a room filled with words. Westminster awakens. When Parliament finally gathers, it feels like a house stirring after a long sleep. Dust is brushed from benches. Papers are arranged on desks. Candles are lit, sending warm light flickering across wooden panels. Members settle into their seats. Some clear their throats. Others grip quills ready to write. Some exchange small nods of recognition. It is not loud. It is not celebratory. It is solemn. A quiet awakening. A chamber remembering its purpose. Outside, London listens. Voices that rise like gentle waves. The first speeches are calm, measured, respectful. Members outline concerns about taxes. They discuss the war in Scotland. They question certain laws. They urge the king to reconsider specific policies. Their tone is not fiery, but firm, like waves touching the shore with steady persistence. The city hears the echo of these voices through couriers, gossip, and the steady flow of printed pamphlets. For the first time in years, governance feels shared, not imposed, not commanded, shared. And that changes everything. The people begin to hope. Hope is a fragile thing. It arrives quietly, like a soft breeze slipping through an open window. Londoners begin to talk not only about problems, but about possibilities. Perhaps the king and Parliament will find peace. Perhaps taxes will ease. Perhaps religious tensions will calm. Perhaps war can be avoided. Perhaps old wounds can heal. Hope does not erase fear, but it stands beside it, gently balancing the weight. The city walks through its days with lighter steps, as though the future has widened slightly. A gentle but powerful shift. In the following weeks, debates grow more serious. Speeches become longer. Concerns multiply. Parliament asserts itself. The king resists. Old disagreements resurface. But this time there is conversation. And conversation is power. London can feel the balance shifting. not violently, not abruptly, just steadily, the way a ship slowly turns in open water, the way a river changes course over many seasons. A kingdom built on silence is learning to speak again. The city understands the moment. By the end of 1640, every Londoner, whether merchant or mason, sailor or scholar, knows that the kingdom has entered a new chapter. Something has begun that cannot easily end. A dialogue, a struggle, a search for balance. London does not fear this moment. It respects it. The city has survived plague. It has survived poverty, fire, flood, and political storms of the past. Now it watches with clear eyes as king and parliament circle one another, each claiming duty, each defending belief. London stands steady, ancient, wise, ready. Let that final image rest softly in your mind. Parliament's halls glowing with candlelight. The king moving through quiet corridors, London standing between them like a thoughtful witness. A city breathing deeply, sensing that its footsteps are guiding history into a new era. The storm is not yet here, but the winds have begun to rise. Sleep in peace, friend. Closing the long pause before the storm. Rest now, my friend. Let your breath drift low and calm, like fog rolling gently across the Thames at dawn. You have walked with me through a fragile and quietly powerful chapter of London's history, a chapter where the world did not explode with drama but shifted slowly, steadily, like the turning of the tide. We saw a king who preferred silence to debate, a parliament forced into long sleep, a city that healed from plague only to enter a different kind of uncertainty. We watched fear grow, not in flames, but in whispers, taxes rising, rituals changing, voices stirring behind closed doors, Scotland trembling, London listening. Nothing in episode 6 was loud, yet everything was important. History does not always shout. Sometimes it moves with soft footsteps through quiet streets, brushing against windows and drifting through marketplaces, unnoticed by those living inside the moment. London, wise and patient, felt each shift, like a musician hearing the first notes of a distant melody. Like a river sensing a storm, far upstream, like a city that has seen too much to ignore small tremors. Tonight we leave London standing at the edge of transformation, a king walking into a chamber he once closed, a parliament awakening after long silence, a people watching with steady eyes, a kingdom inhaling as if preparing for something vast. No battles yet, no chaos, just the soft, deep breath before the world changes. Let that image settle in you, the glow of Westminster candles, the hush inside Whitehall corridors, the slow murmur of London streets, the quiet courage of a city that endures. Rest with that. Let your mind loosen. Let the boats fade gently from the Thames. Let the cobblestones grow misty. Let the bells drift into silence. London will still be here when you wake, ready for the next chapter. Ready for episode 7, a story of conflict and courage, of choices and consequences, of how a city can stand strong even when the kingdom shakes. But that is for another night. For now, breathe softly, sleep peacefully. The city rests with you.